and welcome to this concert. My name is Sara, and I've really been looking forward to this. So to Sharon and Kaya and everyone who made this possible, who invited me, thank you so much. Where in the world am I? Well, the flags might give you a hint. I'm in Norway, in Oslo, and I'm standing in Haugerud kirke. And it's getting closer to 17. Mai, so I thought it would be nice to wear my bunad from Telemark. And I actually wore this bunad for the very first time here in this church when I had my confirmation here. And it's my grandmother who made all the embroiderments. So I put together a program with some of my Norwegian musical favorites. And I started off with Grieg and his first lyric piece. The second piece I played was by Halvdan Kjærulf, a Norwegian composer who was born a few generations before Grieg. So Kjærulf is very little played in Norway, but I like to play his music, first of all, because I like the music, and second of all, because I also think it's interesting to see or hear the music that kind of built the foundation for Grieg and his generation. So I thought I would continue with one more piece by Kjærulf called Idyll. So now a composer named David Monrad Johansen. He was born in the north of Norway in 1888. So he studied music and composition in around 1910. And even then, there still wasn't any higher music education in Norway. Now, I think that most Norwegian classical music sounds very Norwegian, But then it's kind of fascinating to know that every Norwegian composer up until the 1970s had to go abroad to study music. Usually they went to Germany or France. So to David Monrad Johansen, French Impressionism was very important. And I don't know if you can hear any French elements in this next piece. I'm going to play a little folk tune called Kjæresten min, My Sweetheart. About a year ago, I think we all had to rethink and replan so many things in our lives. I remember I had big plans about a tour with the music by the Hungarian pianist and composer Franz Liszt. But when everything changed in March, it just seemed more relevant playing music by a composer closer to home, so to speak. So I've been spending the past year having a closer look at a pianist and a composer that I'd always known of, but I didn't really know much about. And her name is Agathe Grøndahl. And I had only heard this one piece by her. That was my knowledge of her music. And that is this next piece that I'm going to play here, called Serenade. I think this is a beautiful piece, I really do, but I also come to understand that this really doesn't fully represent her as a composer. She did write quite a lot of character pieces, just like Grieg's lyric pieces, but after having spent a summer as a student by Franz Liszt, she became much more virtuosic in her writing. I think it's also fascinating to see that because she was a mother, she would travel less abroad than a lot of her male colleagues. But then again, she toured quite extensively in Oslo and around Norway. So because of her role as a mother, she probably made a closer bond to the Norwegian audience compared to her male colleagues who were always out and about in Europe. And I'll play one more piece by her, I thought, a piece called Hulderslott, or Hulder Dance. I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of a hulder. That is a character from Norwegian fairy tales. It's sort of a forest spirit. It's she appears as a very beautiful woman, but you can tell she's a hulder if she has a tail, just like a troll. So here is Agathe Grøndahls Hulderslott, Hulder Dance. So now I'm going back to Grieg, a couple of pieces by him. The first one is a piece from his lyric pieces. It's a composition called Gangar, which basically means walking dance. And I don't know about you, but I know that if there's one thing I've been doing a lot this last year, it's walking. And it started in March with the first lockdown last year. My boyfriend and I started going for hikes in the forest surrounding Oslo. And the hikes just became longer and longer and longer. And I mean, I grew up in Oslo, but I've just discovered so many new places that I probably never would have seen if it wasn't for these long hikes. And also, when we're staying so much in our houses at home, I think it's really nice to kind of appreciate those changes of scenery. So I thought it would be nice with this kind of walking themed piece, Gangar. I don't know how many of you were there, but 3 years ago I actually played a recital at the Tuesday Open House in Mindekirken, and I have such great memories from that visit. Now I'm very excited to say that I have plans to come back to Minneapolis next March. Hopefully I can visit Mindekirken again, and all fingers crossed that the world's more back to normal by then. So I thought it would be nice to play a piece that I also played at my last visit at your church, which is one of Grieg's improvisations of a Norwegian folk tune. We're getting near the end. I have a couple of more pieces left on the program. The next piece is written by Alf Hurum. He was born in Oslo in the 1880s. And another example of a Norwegian composer that's rarely played here in Norway, and I don't really know why. I really love his Norwegian take on French Impressionism. He's a pretty interesting character, and he was not just a composer, he was also a painter. He traveled, for example, I think 1 whole year in Beijing and Tokyo and the Far East to study Oriental or ancient Oriental paper painting. He traveled also quite a bit in Europe. In Paris, he met his Hawaiian wife, Leslie White. They ended up moving to Hawaii together, where he basically founded the Honolulu Philharmonic Orchestra, and they ended up living there together for the rest of their lives. And he died in Hawaii in the 1970s. Now we, in our situation today, can't do like Alf Hurum. We can't travel abroad and experience new places. But somehow I think you can travel in music. And in this next piece, called Notre Dame, named after the big cathedral in Paris, I think this music really takes us there. Now, I mentioned me and my boyfriend Petter's long walks and long hikes this past year. Now, on one of those walks, Petter proposed, and we were supposed to be getting married here in this church in about a month from today. Now, everything is fine, we're still together. We just decided that we would, first of all, really would like to be able to hug our guests, and second of all, we would also really like to be able to have any guests at all, which is kind of a challenge in Oslo at the moment. So we decided to postpone the whole thing a year, but then we also have a whole year to plan and look forward to the event. But I thought it would be nice to end this concert with a wedding-related piece. You might have guessed it already. So here is Edvard Grieg's Wedding Day at Troldhougen. Thank you so much for watching.